Hormuz Gambit. Iran closes the Strait of Hormuz. 20% of global oil supply stops flowing. 72 hours later, the strait reopens. This is how American naval power breaks economic blackmail with overwhelming force. The strait measures just 34 kilometers at its narrowest point. 18 tankers transit daily carrying crude oil and liquefied natural gas worth billions. Iranian military forces control the northern shore. Missiles, mines, fast attack boats, shore-based artillery, underground bunker complexes, decades of preparation for this exact scenario. Iranian commanders believe they can close the strait and keep it closed through asymmetric warfare that makes transit too dangerous for commercial shipping. They're about to learn that asymmetric warfare collapses when facing symmetric, overwhelming force backed by technological superiority that negates every Iranian advantage. 3 American carrier strike groups converge on the Persian Gulf: USS Harry S. Truman, USS Dwight D. Eisenhower, USS George H.W. Bush. This represents more combat power than most nations possess in their entire military. The strategic message is unmistakable. Iran can close the strait temporarily but cannot keep it closed when America decides to reopen it through military force. The question isn't whether America can break the Iranian blockade. The question is how quickly it happens and how much Iranian military infrastructure survives the encounter. Navy Power TV takes you inside the 72-hour operation that proved Iranian area denial cannot withstand American carrier aviation and strike capability when political leadership authorizes full combat operations. Which American capability breaks the blockade fastest? A. Carrier aviation strikes. B. SEAL team operations. C. Mine countermeasures. Comment your answer. Iranian Revolutionary Guard fast attack boats swarm from hidden inlets along the coast. Small vessels carrying anti-ship missiles and torpedoes. These Boghammer speedboats represent Iranian asymmetric naval doctrine at its purest form. Cheap platforms carrying serious weapons that threaten expensive targets through swarm tactics and willingness to accept high casualties. Iranian commanders watched American operations in other theaters. They believe saturation attacks from multiple directions will overwhelm American defenses through sheer numbers regardless of technology gaps. The first Iranian attack wave comprises 30 fast attack boats launching from 6 different locations simultaneously. They're coordinating movements to converge on American destroyers from multiple vectors. Standard swarm tactics designed to split defensive fires and create engagement opportunities. But Iranian planners made fatal assumption. They assumed American ships would engage each boat individually with expensive missiles. The reality destroys their operational concept within 5 minutes of engagement start. USS Porter activates its close-in weapon systems. 5-inch guns engage targets at maximum rate with GPS-guided projectiles. Each round costs $3,000 and impacts within meters of aim point. Iranian speedboats explode as 5-inch rounds detonate on or near their hulls. The boats are lightly constructed fiberglass. They cannot survive near misses from naval gunfire. One American destroyer engaging with main gun eliminates 8 fast attack boats in 4 minutes. The swarm collapses as surviving boats scatter back to coastal waters. 0 American ships damaged. Iranian asymmetric naval strategy just failed its first real test against modern American surface combatants with comprehensive sensor fusion and weapons that engage multiple targets simultaneously across entire battle space. Stay with me, because what happens next shows why Iranian military infrastructure cannot survive when American carriers operate at full offensive capability with political authorization to destroy military targets throughout the region. SEAL teams insert via MH-60 helicopters onto Iranian-held islands in the strait. These islands host radar installations and anti-ship missile batteries that threaten commercial shipping. The SEAL operators carry mission orders, destroy Iranian military capability on these islands, and disable any equipment that cannot be destroyed. The operations happen simultaneously across 4 islands. Iranian defenders outnumber American forces significantly. But numbers mean nothing when one side has night vision, precision weapons, and close air support from carrier aviation, while the other side operates with 1970s-era equipment and tactics that haven't evolved since Iran-Iraq War. The SEAL teams mark targets with laser designators. FA-18E Super Hornets overhead release laser-guided bombs that impact Iranian bunkers with precision measured in single-digit meters. Secondary explosions indicate ammunition storage detonating. Radar installations collapse as concrete structures fail under penetrating warhead impacts. The Iranian defensive positions cease to exist as organized military capability within 30 minutes of SEAL insertion. American casualties, 0. Iranian casualties, extensive. The islands are neutralized as threats to shipping. How many mines can Iran deploy in Strait of Hormuz? A. 2,000 mines, B. 5,000 mines, C. 10,000 mines. Answer at end. The mine threat represents Iran's most effective area denial capability. They possess thousands of naval mines accumulated over decades. Their military practiced mine-laying operations extensively. Intelligence estimates suggest Iran can deploy several thousand mines within days if they commit full resources to mining operations. These mines create serious navigation hazards for commercial shipping, even if they don't sink vessels. Insurance companies refuse coverage for ships transiting mined waters. Economic blockade succeeds through threat perception rather than actual ship losses. American mine countermeasures forces deploy before Iranian mining operations complete. MH-53E Sea Dragon helicopters tow acoustic and magnetic mine-sweeping gear through suspected mined areas. These helicopters represent dedicated mine countermeasure capability that Iran cannot attack effectively due to American air superiority over the strait. Littoral combat ships USS Sioux City and USS Charleston launch unmanned underwater vehicles that locate and classify bottom mines using sonar imaging. The UUVs identify mines without risking crew. Explosive ordnance disposal teams follow behind the UUVs to neutralize confirmed mines. The mine-clearing operations proceed faster than Iranian forces can lay new mines, because American air superiority prevents Iranian mining vessels from operating during daylight hours and limits their effectiveness at night through continuous surveillance and strike capability. Navy Power TV reveals the uncomfortable reality facing Iranian military planners. Their most effective area denial weapon becomes irrelevant when adversary possesses dedicated countermeasures backed by air superiority that allows methodical clearing operations that eventually defeat mining efforts, regardless of how many mines Iran deploys. Quantity versus quality takes brutal form when quality includes specialized platforms and trained personnel executing doctrine refined through decades of mine warfare operations, while quantity means mines laid by vessels that cannot operate safely due to enemy air superiority. Comet Q or L Iranian shore-based anti-ship missile batteries launch Noor and Qadir missiles at American destroyers. These are Iranian copies of Chinese C-802 missiles, subsonic sea skimmers with a 120-kilometer range. Iran possesses hundreds of these missiles in coastal batteries and mobile launchers. This represents serious anti-ship threat in confined waters where maneuver space is limited and missile flight times are short. The Iranian missiles face the same defensive systems that defeated similar threats in other theaters. AEGIS combat systems detect launches immediately. SM-2 and ESSM interceptors engage at medium range. Electronic warfare corrupts missile guidance during terminal approach. CIWS phalanx systems provide last-ditch defense against any leakers. The Iranian missile attack achieves 0 hits against American vessels. Every missile is intercepted or decoyed away from targets. American defensive technology evolved specifically to defeat these exact threats. Iranian commanders expended significant portion of their anti-ship missile inventory and accomplished nothing except revealing launcher locations to American intelligence. If you believe American mine warfare capability is unmatched, type Navy Power TV right now. The American counterattack destroys Iranian coastal defenses systematically. Tomahawk cruise missiles strike underground bunker complexes where Iran stores missiles and maintains command facilities. GBU-57 massive ordnance penetrators dropped from B-2 bombers collapse reinforced concrete bunkers that Iran built to survive conventional attacks. The Iranian military infrastructure along the strait degrades rapidly under sustained American strikes that destroy decades of preparation and billions in investment. Iranian fighter aircraft attempt to engage American strike packages. F-14 Tomcats, F-4 Phantoms, aging aircraft from 1970s that Iran maintains through ingenuity and spare parts acquired through sanctions evasion. These aircraft face F-A-18EF Super Hornets with AESA radars, AIM-120D missiles, and comprehensive electronic warfare support. The technology gap measures decades. Iranian pilots are brave. Their aircraft are obsolete. American missiles outrange Iranian weapons by 50 kilometers. Iranian fighters die beyond visual range without achieving single kill against American aircraft. The air superiority battle ends within hours with Iranian Air Force retreating to defend Tehran rather than contesting airspace over the strait where American carrier aviation dominates completely. Iranian submarines attempt to threaten American carriers. Kilo-class diesel-electric boats that Iran purchased from Russia in 1990s. These are capable submarines in confined waters when operated correctly. Iranian submarine commanders face American anti-submarine warfare capability, refined through decades of tracking Soviet submarines during Cold War, and continuous improvement afterward. American P-8 Poseidon aircraft deploy sonar buoys that detect Iranian submarines at ranges where those submarines cannot effectively engage surface targets. American destroyers prosecute contacts with vertical launch ASROC rockets that deliver Mark 54 torpedoes to target areas. Iranian submarines surface and return to port after realizing they cannot approach American carriers without detection and immediate counterattack. The underwater dimension of Persian Gulf combat belongs entirely to American forces through sensor technology and weapons that create engagement ranges impossible for Iranian submarines to overcome. Which technology dominates Hormuz operations? Carrier aviation, mine warfare, or submarine operations? Drop your prediction below. The strait reopens to commercial shipping 72 hours after operations began. American mine countermeasures cleared safe passage lanes. American destroyers maintain patrol stations that deter Iranian fast attack boats. American carrier aviation provides continuous combat air patrol that prevents Iranian aircraft from threatening shipping. Iranian military infrastructure lies in ruins from sustained American strikes. The economic blockade collapses because Iran cannot sustain military operations against American opposition. Iranian mine inventory potentially numbers 5,000 weapons, but only fraction were deployed before American air superiority made mining operations impossible to continue. That's the answer to our quiz. The mines that were deployed are being cleared systematically by American mine warfare forces, using procedures and equipment that Iran cannot effectively counter or disrupt. Technology supremacy confirmed. 3 carrier groups, 72 hours. Strait reopened. Global oil flows restored. 0 American ships lost to Iranian attacks. The operation cost billions in munitions and operational expenses. The cost of allowing strait closure would have measured trillions in global economic impact. Naval power proves its worth through missions accomplished that create economic benefits far exceeding operational costs. Iranian military learns painful lessons about asymmetric warfare against peer adversary with comprehensive capabilities. Fast attack boats are death traps when facing modern naval guns. Mines are temporary obstacles when adversary possesses dedicated countermeasures and air superiority. Anti-ship missiles are ineffective against layered defenses with decades of evolutionary development. Shore-based defenses cannot survive carrier aviation strikes with precision weapons. Every Iranian advantage in geography and preparation meant nothing when American military employed full spectrum of capability against them. Can Iran develop capabilities to close Hormuz against American opposition? Current evidence suggests no within foreseeable future. Their technology gap continues widening. Their economy cannot support military modernization needed to challenge American naval superiority. What's next for Persian Gulf security? Continued American presence that guarantees freedom of navigation, regardless of Iranian threats or regional tensions that might motivate closure attempts. The strategic implications extend beyond immediate reopening. Regional nations see that Iranian military cannot accomplish strategic objectives against American opposition. This weakens Iranian regional influence and strengthens American security partnerships with Gulf states who depend on export revenues from oil that must transit Hormuz. Iranian attempt to weaponize geography failed completely against naval power, with technological superiority and operational capability to overcome any obstacle through comprehensive application of military force. The economic calculations that drove Iranian blockade decision proved fundamentally flawed. Iranian leadership believed economic pressure from strait closure would force international concessions before American military could respond effectively. They miscalculated response timeline and underestimated American capability to restore transit through military means. The 72-hour reopening demonstrated American naval power can act faster than economic pressure can generate political effects. This timing asymmetry means future Iranian threats to close strait lack credibility when international community recognizes American military can reopen it faster than economic damage becomes unbearable. Insurance companies and shipping corporations updated their risk assessments based on American performance. Hormuz transit insurance rates declined after operation demonstrated American capability to maintain safe passage against Iranian opposition. This market response reflects rational economic calculation that American naval protection makes Hormuz transit safer than Iranian threats suggest. Maritime commerce continues flowing through strait because economic actors trust American capability more than Iranian threats. Allied cooperation during operations strengthened regional security architecture. British Royal Navy contributed mine countermeasures vessels. French Navy deployed frigate for air defense support. Gulf Cooperation Council nations provided basing and overflight rights. This coalition effort demonstrated American leadership can mobilize regional and international support when operations serve collective interests like maintaining freedom of navigation in critical waterways. Iranian isolation became evident when no nation supported their blockade attempt, and multiple nations actively assisted American reopening operations. Iranian military must now explain to political leadership why decades of preparation and billions in defensive investment failed to achieve stated objectives. Revolutionary Guard commanders who promised they could close strait indefinitely and inflict unacceptable costs on any reopening attempts must acknowledge their assessments were wrong. This creates internal political consequences within Iranian power structures as military leaders lose credibility and political factions debate whether continued confrontation with American naval power serves Iranian interests or merely wastes resources on unwinnable conflicts. Subscribe to Navy Power TV, where elite naval power meets cutting-edge technology, proving American carriers and mine warfare capability maintain freedom of navigation in world's most critical choke points. Superior fleets, advanced weapons, hit notification for analysis showing why American naval dominance guarantees global commerce continues flowing, despite regional powers attempting economic blackmail through military control of strategic waterways that enable 20% of global energy supplies.